This is the Oppo Find N, Oppo's first foldable smartphone, and it does things a bit differently from the popular Galaxy Z Fold 3. Although it looks to be a China-only release for now, it's a sign of things to come from Oppo. I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's see what the Find N is all about in our full review. The Oppo Find N is a foldable phone that stands out from the popular Galaxy Z Fold 3 in a few ways, most notably its compact form factor. It's built around a 5.49-inch cover display, which is smaller than what you'll see on most phones these days. But then it opens up to reveal a 7.1-inch inner screen, more like a mini tablet. When it's folded, it is compact, if you forget about that double thickness. It feels hefty and premium, and it's sturdy thanks to Gorilla Glass Victus protection. Our white model is on the slippery side though. The frame and hinge are made of aluminum, and the proprietary hinge design called Flexion is different from Samsung's. There are no visible gaps here when the device is folded. The gapless design does make opening the Find N a little difficult, and that can get annoying if you're doing it non-stop throughout the day. But at the same time, thanks in part to this hinge design, the crease down the center of the inner screen is much less noticeable than on Samsung's foldables. You don't get an official IP rating here like the Z Fold 3 does, but Oppo does claim some water resistance, which is more than you might expect from a device like this one. Let's talk a bit more about the cover screen. It's an AMOLED with a pixel density of 402 ppi, Gorilla Glass Victus protection, and a punch hole for the selfie cam. I like this display. It has wider dimensions than the tall and narrow cover screen of the Z Fold 3, and feels totally usable as a main screen. You do only get a standard 60Hz refresh rate here though. Colors are accurate, and the cover screen is also plenty bright. We measured a maximum of 500 nits with the slider, and it boosts up to 780 nits in auto mode and bright sun. The inner screen is an LTPO AMOLED with a pixel density of 370 ppi, another punch hole, and this one has a high 120Hz refresh rate. This means that this screen is quite fluid when swiping around, and the refresh rate is adaptive too, based on content to save energy. This phone doesn't seem to support high frame rate gaming though. Oppo did a good job matching the two screens color accuracy wise, and although the max brightness of the inner screen is a bit less, at 580 nits with the auto boost, in general you'll get matching brightness too. Both screens have HDR10+ support, and content looks good. Switching between screens is pretty seamless and smooth. The content on one display transfers to the other, resized and with the right aspect ratio, and we didn't have any major hiccups. The most noticeable change when switching screens is the refresh rate drop when going to the cover screen. It's a bit less smooth, but it is what it is. The Find N has a pair of stereo speakers, but since they're both down at the bottom, you don't get much of a stereo effect even with the device unfolded. They scored just an average mark on our loudness test, and the sound quality is just okay, with good mids, but muted highs and not much bass. The Find N's fingerprint reader is mounted on the side and doubles as the power button. It's fast and reliable. And there's plenty of space on the Find N, 256 or 512 gigs, but that's not expandable. The phone's interface is Oppo's ColorOS 12 based on Android 11. ColorOS 12 is pretty new and brings a refreshed look over the previous version. But on top of that, you get a few exclusive functions here on the Find N that take advantage of its unique design. For example, you can do a split screen on the inner display by swiping down from the top with 2 fingers. Then you can do a 4-finger pinch out gesture to minimize an app into a floating window. The camera will move the viewfinder to the top part, and the controls to the bottom if the phone is partially folded, so you can stabilize the camera on a table or something. And one screen can be used to browse the photo gallery, while the viewfinder on the other side stays ready to shoot. There's no lack of power under the hood of the Oppo Find N, thanks to its flagship-grade Snapdragon 888 chipset. It's been a staple of flagship devices for a while now, and still provides chart-topping performance. The phone does warm up a bit when running heavier tasks like gaming, but the thermal management is alright here. The Oppo Find N is powered by a 4500 mAh battery, and battery life is good. The phone earned an endurance rating of 90 hours when using the large inner screen. And if using just the cover screen, it scored an even better 106 hours. Charging speed is decent here, but not nearly as fast as you might expect from a SuperVOOC charger. With the bundled 33-watt adapter, we charged from 0 to 57% in half an hour. You get support for wireless charging and reverse wireless charging here too. The Oppo Find N has a triple camera setup on the back, including a 50 megapixel quad Bayer main cam with OIS, a 16 megapixel ultra-wide cam, and a 13 megapixel 2x telephoto. The main cam's 12.5 megapixel photos are good, with rich detail levels and natural looking fine details, like foliage. There's high enough contrast, and the dynamic range is good, but not extreme. The only issue we had with the shots was some softness in the corners. Zoomed photos come out at 12 megapixels and they have an incredible amount of detail. They're contrasty and have the right amount of sharpening. Dynamic range is good too. They're not perfect. You may see some noise here and there, and the colors sometimes come out on the duller side. You can take portraits with both the main and the telephoto cameras. Those from the main cam are good. The subject is detailed enough, and the separation is proficient. Portraits from the telephoto have even better subject separation and are natural looking, but they require a lot of light in order to come out okay. Photos from the ultra-wide cam are likable. They're nicely detailed for this type of camera, and the processing looks natural. There's a good enough contrast and dynamic range. We wish the colors were a bit more saturated though. In low light, photos from the main cam are outstanding in quality. They have good exposure, plenty of resolved detail, and excellent sharpness. The color saturation is good, and the dynamic range is wider than expected. There is a night mode, and these have the same good quality, but with a brighter exposure and more detail in both shadowy and bright areas. Some blown highlights are restored too. At night, in auto mode, the Find N won't use the telephoto zoom, but a digital crop from the main cam. It's not so bad. If night mode is on, the photos are brighter and more colorful, with less blown highlights. And sometimes in this mode, you will get a shot from the actual telephoto cam. Low-light shots from the ultra-wide cam are barely usable. They're dark and noisy with poor detail and blown highlights. If night mode is on, you'll get something decent. These images are brighter, with cleaned up noise and restored highlights. When it comes to selfies, both the front-facing camera on the cover screen side and the one on the inner display are exactly the same, with a 32 megapixel resolution. Selfies are good, with accurate colors, nice contrast, and wide dynamic range. The detail level and sharpness are just average though. But thanks to the Find N's foldable design, you can take selfies with the rear cams too, using the cover screen as a viewfinder. You get a lot better quality this way, and more versatility too. Videos can be captured in up to 4K resolution at 30 FPS on all three rear cameras, and they have always-on electronic stabilization. Footage from the main cam is outstanding in quality. There's plenty of detail, great contrast, balanced sharpening, and accurate colors. The telephoto camera shoots great 2x zoomed videos too. Once again, the picture is detailed and sharp, the noise is handled well, and the colors, contrast, and dynamic range are great. The ultra-wide camera also offers brilliant video quality. The footage is rich in detail, with low enough noise, accurate colors, high contrast, and above average dynamic range. So that's the Oppo Find N. It combines the cutting-edge foldable design made popular by Samsung with a more compact form factor. And you get good battery life, a flagship chipset, a nice software experience, and a great set of cameras. Overall, we really like this phone and would fully recommend it as an alternative to the Galaxy Z Fold 3, except that for now it's only available in China. So the rest of us will have to wait until an Oppo Foldable goes global. Thanks for watching guys, stay safe and see you on the next one.